We're about to get the Spear of Destiny, and I hate how often I see people talk about the spear as if it's not a good weapon, or as if it's useless or forgettable. Because to me, it really encapsulates what God of War 2's combat gameplay is really about. The fact that it just has access to instantaneous moves that can launch the enemy in the air, as well as like send them flying backwards, I think is just that's what the weapons should revolve around, is their ability to get enemies airborne and their ability to send them flying back like that. And this weapon does both of those. Quick launch. But now that we have this spear, I think this is a perfect time to talk about the main way that I think the remakes of these games can be pretty much perfected. And that's by sort of recontextualizing the orb system and how the orbs work. Not changing it completely, but I think there's a lot of ways that they can take elements from the Norse games and sort of expand upon the ideas that they had in these games, particularly in God of War 1 and God of War 2. More so 2 than 1, honestly, but I think it's very possible for them to combine the best parts of all the games and eliminate the worst parts in order to make the remakes like the definitive best games in the entire series. And Sony Santa Monica has really given themselves a pretty interesting opportunity, because I know a lot of games have remakes, but there are very few games that I think have an opportunity to expand on like the seeds of genius game design that were planted 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. This core trilogy of games was always so good and was always so beloved by its small little niche community, myself included. The fact that they were able to implement so many elements of these original games into a sort of soft reboot that then became like a real household name is already an accomplishment in and of itself. And they definitely have a tall task. They have a lot on their shoulders, but I think I have a lot of ideas that can actually work really well and help kind of perfectly blend the new and the old together to make the best of both worlds. But a lot of it starts with the spear that we just got, and a lot of it starts with the orbs and the way you upgrade everything. Now that I'm here and now that I have the spear, I just want to talk about how the orb system and the grab system can both be re-implemented. And the orbs, I think, is the easiest place to start because it is the biggest system in the trilogy of games and it's kind of the easiest to understand. So the red orbs, obviously, you can see in the menu, because what I really want to do is, since the remakes of these games got announced, what I want to do is make a series of videos, and each video be about a certain aspect of the entire franchise, and compare and contrast the games that did it the best, the games that did it the worst, the best parts of each game that include like core aspects of the series and the combat and stuff, and sort of pick the best and worst parts of all of them to kind of put it together into one system that can then make the remakes the best games ever made. Because I genuinely do think this game series, God of War 1, 2, 3, 4, and Ragnarok, like I do think this is the best game series ever made. But I also think it's not perfect. And I think that some of the ideas that the devs had weren't able to be fully executed to the best way, just because of some of the hardware limitations they had and some of the things they didn't know about the series when they were making it the first time around, you know what I mean? And I think there were some things that were executed really, really well in a game like this, but maybe weren't expanded upon enough and weren't prevalent enough in the rest of the series that I think people don't even know about them as much, which is a shame. The combat system in these games, it's first and foremost, it is the most memorable aspect of most people's playthrough of these games. It is the thing you remember the most about these games, is the combat. You have different things you can upgrade with your orbs, right? These red orbs, they're blood, that's confirmed. They're blood orbs. Seems like they really ride the line between simple mechanics so that non-gamers or younger audiences are able to pick it up, but enough nuance in the system to allow for some truly dope skill expression. Yeah, it's definitely falls under the easy to learn, difficult to master category of combat. The way the difficulty scales and the way the combat changes for every difficulty level is really unique to me, and I don't know a lot of other games that do it like that. But then again, it also sort of feels like a lot of it wasn't intentional, because if it was, you would think it would be a little bit more than what it is, even though it is there. So basically, when you kill an enemy, you get red orbs from them. Makes sense. You kill an enemy, they bleed, their power is stored in their blood, you take their power from their blood, you use it to power up your own weapons, you get stronger. There are green orbs, which is what this chest had in it, which refill your health. My theory is that these green orbs are health fragments of the earth and from any living being that is born from the earth. As we see in God of War 3, the sequel, that Gaia, the Titan, the Mother Earth, you can siphon green orbs from her heart, seemingly infinitely. So it's my theory that all these green orbs are heart fragments and that they're basically just the life force or the health of this world, right? I think this is just life essence from Gaia, the Mother Earth herself. Whereas magic, my theory, which I think is in line with a lot of other games, is that this magic blue orb is just the essence of like knowledge or brain power. Because if you look here, we have an electric magic that is blue. Zeus's electric magic is mostly blue. And I think this blue magic just is similar enough to like electrical synapses in the brain and knowledge and brain power that when you kill something and they give you magic, it's just... And it makes sense because when you first fight Medusa in the first game and you kill her, you tear her head off. And the game shows you later that tearing the head off of Gorgons will grant you magic. So my theory, and the way that I think it could be recontextualized in the remakes, is that if you keep an enemy's head intact before their body disappears and gets reclaimed by the hands of Hades as ash, you can extract their knowledge turned brain power in the form of magic and blue orbs from their brain before they die. Whereas, or rather, if you like extract their heart from their body and absorb its power, you can use that to heal yourself before they die too. But if you want to make them bleed a lot, slicing them up or punching them, you can get more blood out of them and thus more experience. And it kind of works like that in the game, sort of, but it's not specific enough to make me feel like it's a real decision to be made in each fight, Because in the very first game of the series, 30 Seconds in, we get to see that you can press square to do like these horizontal light attacks. You can press triangle to do like heavier vertical attacks. You can press circle to grab an enemy. And when you grab a basic enemy, you have three options. You can press square to like toss them around and do some AoE damage to other enemies. You can press triangle to rip them in half and just kill them immediately. Or you can press circle again to punch them or hit them a couple times and then kill them. And with every hit, you get like an extra red orb or two. And in this game, in the sequel, and God of War 3 as well, every time you like grab kill an enemy like that, you get 5 bonus red orbs for doing like a special execution kill. But I think you can re-implement the idea of the green and blue and red orbs into the grab system to make every enemy encounter in the game give players more of a choice between what they want to prioritize, if it's health or magic or more experience, because it goes in line with these other sub-weapons we have too. Like, these weapons give you different amounts of orbs if you kill an enemy with them than they would if you use the regular blades. But yeah, if you kill an enemy with your regular blades like this, they give you red orbs, obviously. If you kill an enemy with this spear, they'll give you significantly fewer red orbs, but they'll also give you magic as well. And if you kill an enemy with the hammer, they again give you fewer red orbs, but you also get some golden rage orbs back when you kill them with the hammer. But imagine if you could combine the grab finishers you were just talking about and the weapon orb variety yields. So that way, if you remake God of War 1, and the first encounter in the game is you dealing with the undead legionnaires on the boat, and the game again tells you, press square for light attacks, press triangle for vertical heavy attacks, and press circle to grab enemies. Like, the tutorial could go more in depth about how the nuance of the combat works, and everybody that plays it could have a better chance to understand how the subtle details of the fights work. And I think that could be really, really cool. Because look, we could grab an enemy like this, and it could zoom in really close and get like an over-the-shoulder camera style when it's just us and the enemy in that little grab animation. And it could show us and give us a little message that says press square, triangle, or circle to finish enemies off in different ways for different effects or whatever. So we could grab an enemy and then press square. Or I guess square could still stay as an AoE clear out move, but we could like grab him and press triangle instead of just tearing it in half and like squeeze the heart and gain life back from it before the body turns to ash and gets, you know, taken back by Hades. You could grab an enemy and press X, and then you could see Kratos like chop its legs off or stand on its chest and then tear its head off in order to like keep its brain intact and extract the magic and knowledge power from it before its body disappears. You could grab somebody and press circle, and then you could see him like punch or stab the creature more and more times and see more blood spill out of it, and then actually see the blood on Kratos' arms like dissipate and see the magic orbs left over and see them absorb into his skin. Like, you could give players the option of being able to extract health or magic or experience or AoE damage from every enemy encounter in the game, because you could give every enemy encounter different animations depending on how you grab finish them, and enemies can give you different amounts of different resources depending on what type of animal they are or what type of monster they are. So you could grab a Minotaur, and instead of only doing one execution on him where you always get health, you could still have an option to where if you want to grab him and press circle, you could get more experience from him but still get a tiny bit of health. Or you could grab him and press X, and you could get a little bit of health and a little bit of magic. Or you could do it and press triangle and get a bunch of health. So you'd get more resources with better skill expression. Exactly. Because that's already kind of the case in the game as is. Like, it's kind of hard to show right now because the encounter coming up doesn't really do a good job of showing it. But that's part of the reason why every enemy should get reworked a little bit, because like the encounter we're about to come up on is just harpies and satyrs. But when you grab kill harpies or satyrs, you don't get health or magic back. You only get experience. If you're wielding the hammer, you'll get rage. If you're wielding the spear, you'll get some magic. But imagine if every single enemy in the game gave you the option to either prioritize max experience or less experience and a little bit of health, or a little bit of health and some magic, or either or you could choose whichever, because like you could do it if you grab kill an enemy with the spear equipped and do the X style grab, you could get magic from them from doing a spear kill and get magic from them from doing the X finisher. You know what I mean? If you have the hammer equipped, you could grab kill them and get magic from the X kill and rage back from the hammer being equipped. Or you could do none of that and use the blades and get your hit counter super high, and then grab kill with circle and just extract a bunch of XP and get no health and no magic, even from a Minotaur. Like, it'd be pretty cool, right? Because every different combination of grab finisher and weapon can have its own unique animation. So like grab killing with circle, triangle, or square with the blades can give a different animation for every type of enemy. Doing it with the spear can give you a different set of animations for every enemy. Same with the hammer. You can get different execution animations for every type of grab finisher for all the different weapons. So when you play New Game Plus and you have all the weapons unlocked, you can unlock different animations that you would have never seen before if you had only done it the first time, right? So that's my little 2 cents on things that are good in this game but aren't really that great. And I'll try to show you a little bit more because it's kind of a good example when you find regular enemies coming up, but it would allow players to be able to like run different builds, kind of. You know, like if you want to make a point of finishing every enemy you see with the hammer X button finisher, then you would be sacrificing a lot of experience, but you could basically run like an infinite magic and rage build, to where you could just spam magic and rage a lot and not worry too much about getting all the red orbs from, you know, having a high hit counter or finishing enemies with the blades like you'd want to do if you wanted the max amount of XP from each encounter. Because some of this stuff you can take from God of War 4 and God of War Ragnarok too. Like the idea of builds, the idea of having like different setups and different armor and different attachments in order to extract a lot more health or a lot more cooldown from enemy encounters. Like, it's a good idea in theory in the Norse games, but it ends up making you need to spend like 15 minutes in the pause menu swapping around all of your armor sets and like making sure all your attachments and shit are all set up right, and it becomes very tedious. But if all you had to do was just equip different weapons and use different execution animations and do different button inputs to get different grab finishes, and that would allow you to run different types of builds and manage your resources in like a more personal way. That's like taking the best of both worlds and making it, you know, unifying in the system. These games are really fun, but some of the ideas they have, I think, just weren't implemented perfectly, but they could be. And I'm sure some of these ideas the devs already are having, but I haven't seen many people talk about it online. Everybody's only been talking about, are there going to be sexy minigames? Those are important to me for some reason. Are they going to tone down the gore? Are they going to make Kratos a more sympathetic character and retcon his backstory and all this other shit? I don't know. I don't think any of that's happening. And even if it does, I don't really think it matters. Because what's most important about these games is how they play. And it always has been. Which is why, for as great as the Norse games are, they're just never going to be as fun as these games, because they just don't play as well. They're more engaging narratively, yeah. They're more like aesthetically pleasing, like cinematically, yeah, sure. In some aspects, not in all of them, but in some areas, yeah, that's true. But the biggest crime that the Norse games commit is that their combat system, while it is fun to play, there's no reason to master it. Because when you're playing through those games, whether you're good at the combat or not doesn't make a difference. Whether you learn how to do all the techniques or not does not make a difference in your playthrough, even a little bit. I think this encounter right here with these Cyclopses and the Beast Lords is a really good example of what I was talking about earlier. Like, this is the perfect example of an encounter that could be made a lot more fun. And not that it's not fun already, because it is, but it could be made a lot more dynamic if all these ideas I stated earlier could be implemented here. Because think about it. The Cyclopses are the best example. And don't get me wrong, I like the satisfaction of just being able to grab these guys and get like their creature-specific animation kill. Or kill animation, rather, not animation kill. But it'd be cool if everybody had the option for me right here, instead of just getting this animation, to press either X, square, triangle, or circle. Let's say I wanted to get a little bit of health back right now, because I have almost half left. Instead of my only option being that chest, I could choose to extract a little bit from these enemies. And it would even make sense, because either way, the orb value is still going to scale with difficulty. That could just be adjusted a little bit as well, so that instead of only very hard being the sole difficulty level that changes the value of orbs, every difficulty level could slightly decrease the value of orbs as you go up. So like easy, when you're playing on easy, your orb value could be 100%, so opening a chest would give you 100% of your health no matter how low it is. If you're playing on normal, it could fill it up, I don't know, 80% or 75% of the way. Playing on hard, it could fill it up, you know, 50 to 70%. And then if you're playing on very hard, it could then fill your bar up, you know, 40 to 50% like it does regularly. But I think it would do a better job that way of introducing to even super casual players the idea of how the difficulty scales, as well as having a little bit of... Actually, fine. Go ahead and summon a Cyclops, you loser. I don't care. What, are you not gonna? Okay. I guess you're not gonna. But think about it. When the Cyclops gets the circle prompt above his head, let's say Kratos goes through his regular animation that he normally goes through when you press circle for the first little bit. And then once he gets on top of the guy's head, you could have an option to either press square, press triangle, press circle, or press X. And depending on which button you pressed, you could either tear his head off and get magic, rip his heart out and get health, slash him up with the blades before tearing his eye out to collect an eye and a bunch of experience if you want to collect the eyes, or press square to ride him and do like an AoE smash attack a couple of times before you kill him. That's good for two reasons. One, because like I mentioned earlier, it would give you the chance to extract whatever resource you want from whatever enemy at any time, and because the orbs would still scale with difficulty, you wouldn't be getting so many throughout the course of a fight that you would never die. You would still have to play it skillfully because you wouldn't get that many refilled upon doing it if you're on very hard or hard. And two, it solves the accessibility issue of having QTEs be a problem for certain people. Because instead of having to quickly time your button with the prompt on the screen, you get to just press whatever fucking button you want. And it could still do the thing like it does in Ragnarok, where it slows down time a little bit and gives you a chance to. Because I don't think that requiring players to do QTEs in a quick way is good gameplay. I don't think that's fair to, like I said, everybody's accessibility, and I don't think that's fun. I don't even think it's skill. I think it's just annoying. It's not really an issue in this game as much, but in God of War 1 especially, the QTEs are so fast, and I just think that's artificial difficulty. That's not fun at all. That's not even cool. So being able to just know that you press circle whenever an enemy is dizzy, and then you can press whatever button you want, and you don't have to look at the screen and like quickly decide or move your fingers super fast to press the right button. You just know which one you're going to press before you even grab them because you know what resource you want to get from it. So it solves the issue of accessibility and the issue of diversity in the execution finishers, and it solves the problem of resource management not being perfectly ideal in all three games.